Hello, people. Happy Friday. Good shit. Good day. Yes, I did say good shit. Anywho, this is living authentically speaking. Just this whole life of being authentic, and on top of that, it's been like this for some years now, and I realized that it's easier to be authentic, and it's a lot less stress than to try to look a certain way because of again, it goes back to what I said before. The truth needs no defense. So when you find yourself trying to look a certain way, or basically when your actuality doesn't match your reality, some people, they have so much of their what they want to like look like. I said actuality versus reality. That's kind of redundant. With their expectations versus their reality. And it's almost like expectation is here, reality is here. Reality is the everything that goes on, your day to day, what's really like real, tangible, rubber meets the road. Expectations are your goals, what you see, actually what you think about yourself, how you see yourself. And sometimes that gap is here, sometimes that gap is here. But because that sometimes that gap is like this, if you're lying to yourself, you almost want to bring this here. But reality is here. And if you keep ignoring it, each day it's just going to go more here, here, here. So it's going to increase. So I think for some people it's easier to lie about where their reality is than to like it, and it takes energy to like lie about it rather than to just take that energy and realize that realize reality, like once you see where you're at and kind of can really fully gauge where you want to be. And sometimes people, they put like their expectations really, really high at themselves. And I guess it's a form of, I don't know, I guess not necessarily a sense of accomplishment, or I don't know, it's like it's very, very like unfortunate. It's kind of messed up when you don't see that, how that gap is. See where the gap is, because it can be fleeting, I would say. Again, it's almost like trying to build a house on some soil that you want it to be solid, but if you don't do the work to actually make it solid, grade it out. I'm no contractor or nothing, but if you don't build a solid foundation, you're not gonna have a good standing house. And that's just that. Again, I don't know houses and foundations and stuff like that, but I can imagine that, anything that bears load or weight has to have a good base. So anyway, and speaking of base, like with people in general, like there's a sense of authenticity that I think people miss because they don't know. Like authenticity and knowledge and wisdom, understanding, all that kind of go hand in hand, because of false knowledge is a lie. Sometimes people know, but they don't want to believe or they don't want to accept. So, and I think if it's so funny because I was just thinking about like, so I have this thing where the inner child of people is like basically kind of like their maturity level. Like, so say for instance somebody was hurt when they was a kid or something, like if they're at like age 12 or 8 or something, most likely their maturity is like no more than that, because that's basically where they stop growing, almost like stunted their growth. So you got this big whole adult with this little kid on the inside, because that's like their maturity. That's like where they kind of stunted their growth, basically due to some trauma or something like that. And of course, instead of healing it, people, I feel like they lie about it, or because they don't understand that that's a problem. Like, some will fight with you tooth and nail, like, well, there's nothing wrong with me, and this, and it's like, well, you can believe what you want, but when you're a child, you thought as a child. But if internally you're stuck as a child, that's not right. That's weird. There's a lot of people that don't want to change. Like, it's almost like, I know that there's not necessarily mental illnesses, but I guess there's like, I guess some, I don't know, like I don't know, I don't have enough certification or knowledge or whatever to make any claims like that I would know to even say, but it just seems like this is just my thoughts. So disclaimer. And I've kind of had to deal with a lot of people. I know I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of different people. Unfortunately, it seems like I'm always attracted to people, or somehow drawn, or somehow, thank you God, to deal with people's immature, undeveloped inner child type stuff, and it causes a lot of weird stuff. And as a person that likes to give, those seem to be like heavy takers, and like it's always a one-sided, like selfish, not requited, not reciprocated, almost narcissistic, you would say. But again, that's a whole other thing. A lot of qualities, but I don't have the qualifications or knowledge to call somebody a narcissist. But there's some behaviors that are really selfish, guarded, and one-sided. I understand people's hurt and trauma and all that stuff, but it goes back to hurt people. So it's like, it's like somebody walking around with a porcupine suit on, and they're just walking through the grocery store, pumping and just walking through and poking people, and they don't realize how many people they're poking, because first of all, they're so unaware of their hurt, and they think like, it's like, I'm just gonna lie about this porcupine suit because I just want to be normal. So no, I don't have on a porcupine suit, but the people around you you walking and they're all getting poked and they're like, ow, ow, ow. But you're like, I'm just going to ignore it. It's somebody else's fault, but there's nothing wrong with me. But that goes back to the healing part. And it's like, circling back, like when I was a child, I thought I was a child. So it's like, I know this is kind of strange, but it actually will tie all together. So as a child, I thought as a child. So it goes back to, like, say for instance, a kid, a tragic event from a child's point of view is, somebody taking a toy, or they perceived, which I talked about before, perception, that their toy was taken. But again, it's from their little point of view of a child, probably like their whole world is like the size of their room. So sometimes it can look like, well, this lady with pink dresses steals toys, and if it's not corrected, or even thought about from an adult mind or whatever, it just goes back to like, well, this as a child, that child will see every woman with a pink dress as like, yeah, they steal toys. And then if you got like an unloving, not necessarily unloving, but like kind of a parent or something that's not there to really dig into them and love on them, to correct it or whatever, it's just like you grow up an unhealed child. It just becomes like a very unhealed adult. So so when they were 4, they perceived all women with pink dresses steal toys. And so when they think of every woman with a pink dress, they steal toys. So it's kind of like when you grow up, if there's nothing to correct it, again, that's what you have and that's what you're stuck to. You got a child that's, again, like you've never, or again, like almost like I would call that almost like neglect from a parent in a way, because of if you didn't really put anything onto the kid, like, so basically, kids are, as a human, I think we're like a blank canvas. So like on that blank canvas, what you put on it is what you want on that canvas. So it could either be a beautiful picture or it can be nothing. But the thing is, it'll never just be nothing, because typically canvas is like just a white paint, whatever. Even its environment is going to stain it. So it's never going to just stay white and pure. It's going to learn from its environment. It's going to get dirty from its environment. It's going to see some ambient air. It's going to see some environment, hot, cold, dirt, dust. Like, again, it's going to get, it's the body is a natural thing. So it's almost like, it was created, it has a system, it's an operating thing that God has created. So like, it's going to get from its environment something, whether the parent kind of chooses to pour into it or not. And if the child is left to believe, and that was just such a tragic event, and to them, because again, they don't know to do anything different. It's just like, that's how they see people with pink dresses. So, lady with pink dresses, again, you got an adult that, sees people as, sees lady with pink dresses they're bad and they steal toys. So again, if it's uncorrected, it just becomes people build lives on basically mistruths. So basically, if you were to think about it as an adult, and a lot of people are afraid to like re-feel. So it's almost like you have to recreate the scenario as an adult, so you can like process it as what it is. Like the lady with the pink dress could actually have just been just somebody that they didn't recognize, and they basically just picked up the toy out of the floor and put it up. So it's kind of like you got this young kid that's, tainted and probably hurt or looked at people with pink dresses their whole life. as they're bad because they steal toys because it was a tragic event. So that can be applied to like a lot of areas in life. So again, kids, like if you have kids, when they're young, you should probably talk to them and see where they're at and have good conversation with them, so you can see where they're at and have conversations about that stuff. Because of that's something that should be corrected. But as an adult, again, like some people don't want to do that work because they're afraid to feel those feels because it was so intense as a child. But again, like the scale was so, again, it was child level. But as you grow up and you see life, again, it's like, people have, as an adult, you got houses, cars, life, job, and all that stuff. To a child, a toy is a big deal. So it's kind of like the scale is not, I guess it's scale, but as a child, you don't really, it doesn't have the same significance as an adult. Unless you give it to it, unless, again, if you're on heel. So in reality, if you look back, again, this is reality. The reality of it was that you possibly left the toy on the floor and whoever with the pink dress just actually picked it up. So sometimes that's healing and stuff that it actually takes going back and thinking about, which people don't do. And it's almost like, I don't know, it's like rethinking. I guess there's some form of therapy, whatever, for that, but it just made it simple. And it's like, people walk around, I hate women, or I hate this, I hate that, like, black people suck, white people suck, whatever. It's like, if you've been mistreated by somebody, it kind of helps to reevaluate the whole scenario, because then that goes back to knowledge. So if you don't know, which typically a lot of people say why, like they don't know, why you feel a certain way about something, kind of should dig into it to figure out, because sometimes it's something that's smaller than you thought, or it was misunderstood when you didn't have the knowledge, and then it became big. But now that you should be able to, again, because it was the past, you should always, you now can look back on it and reevaluate it. It's a big deal. Like, you can rethink it. Did it actually happen that way? And it's not a manipulation, like, it's just kind of like really evaluating and assessing the scenario. If it was really bad or if it was really traumatic, sometimes even the piece of it is like, well, you didn't have a choice, or it wasn't up to you, or it wasn't your fault. Sometimes life is like that, Again, it's remember in, I think it was high school, a poster said that life is the outcome of every scenario, every situation is only 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it. So again, that just goes back to the authenticity. And then so when sometimes people find themselves getting to just spiral of dumb stuff, it's almost like because of those hurts in the past, like them being traumatic, traumatized in some kind of way, they look for external validation. And like or anything that's like, they felt like they were missing or was taken away from them, or because of the trauma, it's almost like this sense of lack. And it's like, you know, when the body is, you know, dehydrated, it craves water. When the body, um, like if you're low on water, the body craves it, or something like that. I'm no doctor, but I know that when I'm out running or something, and I get, or working out or out in the heat, when I get thirsty, I want water. When I get hungry, I want food. And your body gives you indications of stuff that the nutrients that you're missing, and it's asking for it. So, you know, unfortunately, people probably don't want to hear this, but, you know, God kind of created this whole structure of a home. And again, this is probably going to hit, but without that proper structure, there's going to be seemingly lack, and your body is going to want to crave that. It's going to crave that. So, unless you're lying to yourself, and again, you may grow up, and it could be one-sided. I mean, again, it's like, you know, one parent, all that other good stuff, whatever. But in a sense, your body is still craving the balance between, like, that man, woman, that feminine, masculine energy. It's like there has to be a balance. It's like the discipline and the love. And I feel like that the lack of love, and again, it's like a balance. It's almost like the daughter is probably looking for like a masculine love from the dad, and the son is looking for like this feminine love from, you know, a mom or something. And it's just like a balance. So that's how we were created. A lot of people will say like, well, I wasn't created that way, I wasn't born that way, or whatever. You know, you can say you were born however you want, but if you really, really look into it, you'll find that, again, that's like, it's really being authentic. It's like, you know, a car doesn't say like, oh, I'd rather sit up on blocks. Like, no, it was actually built, meant to be driven. So just that lack, and then the lack and not actually doing anything about it almost seems like, and if you're lying about it, like you lie to yourself too, you're almost going to like create a void. It's almost like you're lying so much to the point where, you know, there's missing, it's naturally missing, almost like there's a quote unquote void. So I think a lot of people try to fill spiritual or internal voids with physical stuff. That could look like sex. And I feel like that's where people can be very promiscuous. And and also, like, you got your people that seek attention a lot, and again, it's like a whole misguided everything. So they want to get that sense of feeling loved. Wow, loved out of lack, and that looks like probably promiscuity. But anyway, it's almost like some people try to fill a void with penises, or try to fill they're either trying to get their void filled by penises, or fill voids with a penis. And a void is a fictitious thing. It's almost like it's not tangible. So it's like you find yourself doing a bunch of things for no reason. And like I mean, it's almost like symptoms. Like, you kind of can't cure a cold with cold medicine. It just masks symptoms. So I think a lot of people can have a lot of sex or, be doing stuff for attention, like crave attention, and basically lie to yourself about it. Or sometimes you lie because you just don't even know, and you're like, literally, you didn't dig, so basically the conclusion you came up to was just false. So you're basically, still, it's not the truth, so you're basically lying to yourself. But that's just the authenticity part of what I was kind of talking about. Like, if you don't actually think back to, what is off, like, why are you kind of craving attention so much? Or again, just basically your body is telling you stuff. Your body, your spirit, your mind, all that stuff is telling you stuff that is lacking. And if you're a guy looking for female attention, I mean, it could be that, your mom wasn't emotionally present. I don't know. I don't have these. This is just my thoughts. I probably shouldn't. Again, I'll do what I want. I say what I want. Shit is just my thought. But anyway, and if a girl didn't get attention from her dad, it's almost like she wants all this attention from guys. And that can be a very, very bad relationship, because you get a sneaky chick that, like, with quote unquote daddy issues, or basically just the lack of attention from guys. They're going to be looking at guys all over the place. You're going to have guys that perceive her as this feminine, like, mom type energy, even though they're not. And the fake little bit of breadcrumbing ass shit she's going to give them, because she just don't know how to love like that. Because again, it's not balanced. He's going to accept it, and he's basically lying to himself that this is good and this is all he needs. But in actuality, it's not balanced. So she's basically, or both, they're both trying to fill, he's trying to fill a void, and she's trying to get her void filled. Void. But again, it's almost like just a lot of drugs that just mask symptoms. Again, like I said, drugs, because people, alcohol, drugs, whatever, to kind of numb the pain. They can't figure it out, don't want to figure it out, so it's kind of like they just try to escape it. But in actuality, is all you do is look back on what went wrong, or where's the trauma, what's going on, and you literally can try to just like rethink what happened and process it as an adult. Hindsight 2020. So I wouldn't even know where to call this authenticity part. I'm just kind of authentically vomiting. But void, anytime you're trying to fill a void, like a mental or spiritual void with something physical, if you're that adamant about filling it, you're going to end up physically injuring yourself, or get some kind of disease or something that's, create an addiction, just like, or drugs, or you try to escape it. Because again, the body just adjusts. The physical body just adjusts. So whatever you give it, you're going to reach a limit, and it's just going to be like more. It's dumb. It's a clay pot. God breathed breath into us and shaped our spirit with a clay pot of dirt. But it'll just adjust. It'll keep going. I remember there's quite a few that I'm gonna probably get into eventually another time, but basic training for the Army. I remember I never really ran before like that, and I remember jogging, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to die. Like I probably wasn't even a third of a mile in, and then the drill sergeant was like, "You're gonna run," and I was like, "Okay, well, I've never had this experience before, but." I thought I was going to not run, but something said, oh, you're going to run. Then I realized that, well, your mind kind of tells your body what to do. Not that signal that says, oh, we should stop running because this hurts and it's weird. No, it's like you can keep running. Then I realized, oh, well, you can run. So it's just stuff like that. And moral point, authenticity. So I said a lot. So foundation and authenticity. I mean, this is probably going to have to go on to, it's probably going to roll into another one. It's always going to turn back up. But authenticity, filling voids. Voids. The guys want to fill voids and the girls want to get their void filled. Unfortunately, these days, them numbers are ridiculous. Like, you get a girl, and if she's got dad problems, she's gonna want to fill it, and one or two is probably not the number. So that's another reason why it's kind of tough being a single old ass adult, because I'm gonna deal with all that nastiness and shit. I said again, it's like finger and hand, you can wash your hands, but you touch your ear too much, you get an ear infection. So anyway, I guess I talked a long ass time, but this was, I feel good. Happy Friday. And I guess we'll call this authentically speaking. The truth needs no defense. I guess it's filling voids, looking for validation. I don't know. It's really just my thoughts. Thinking about some authentically. I don't know. I guess go back to the beginning, and it really was lack. And foundation and structure. So again, it's like really, if you want to understand, that goes back to expectations and reality. So where you want to be, expectation, that's like your goals in life and all of that. Reality is where you're at. So if you haven't healed your like inner child, or like, if you haven't healed from something childlike, or just from in your life, you're stuck there. So your reality is here, and if you want to be here, you can again sleep your way up here or whatever, but again you're going to get here and you're going to think back to like, oh well, I'm not really happy, and I'm not, again, there's voids. Then you're going to have to eventually go back here and fix it. So some people try to ignore it and they try to skip. Now they're all the way at the top. And it's like, to me, I think about this, like, you have more to lose when you gain a whole lot. So it's basically like, there's a couple of ways, a couple things I've heard you can say. It's like, sometimes you can your talent or your looks or something external can take you somewhere where your character can't keep you. And your character is built on like, you know, your foundation and all that other stuff. So you're going to have some character flaws if you don't fix them. and it kind of looks like self-sabotage. Sometimes you can, again, like all the stuff you can't see, that's the void stuff. Like, you know, your overwhelming fear or your anxiety or whatever, it basically is all, you're kind of like lying to yourself. And again, for your expectations and reality, your reality is where if you're still hurting or whatever, again, trying to fill voids and all that stuff, you're here. And your expectations are always going to be here. That gap may seem like it closes, but it doesn't. Because there's that void that's going to always spring you back down. So instead of filling voids, fix the problem. And that goes back to mechanic 101 troubleshooting. I like troubleshooting. I'm a mechanic type person, I guess. Don't hate, shut up. But anyway, like fixing stuff, but you have to actually 100% identify a problem for it to be fixed. Otherwise, you got to come back. Otherwise, it's not fixed. So if you don't fix the problem, it's not fixed. So moral is expectation, reality. To get there, you have to be honest. Otherwise, here stays here, or can end up here, or with a lot of kids, or diseases, or a lot of bad relationships, or hurting a lot of people because you didn't heal. All right. Have a good night. Happy Friday. Yay, Labor Day. Ooh.